When I was young, I thought I was just going farm halo, you know, and just grow kalo. But it's much more than that. Now, I never thought I would have to sit in front of all these judges and people and give them my testimony of why we think that the water should be flowing in the rivers when it automatically should be.
I sort of look at it more as a war. We're talking about 150 years that the water has been diverted.
Last sole survivor out of the 4 of us that started our water battle here in Honolulu.
Generations died already. Now we suffering.
We're deteriorating. We're losing, and we're gonna lose this all.
The power and influence of Alexander and Baldwin, their subsidiary HCNS, the economic boon this company injected into Maui economy, and then the political influence that they wielded over our state legislature made it a almost impossible task, you know, to overcome that kind of power.
For decades, the tiny community of East Maui has remained laser-focused on ensuring the rights afforded them in the state constitution would someday return water to the streams that have been a barren reminder that their water and their rights are flowing through miles of ditches to serve political and economic interests. Beholden to their kupuna to continue the fight that started many decades before them and committed to aloha aina as a way of life, they holomua, move forward because they have no choice.
Fishing, hunting, taro farming, and farming. This is what this community is all about. And it's a traditional, customary way. That's who we are. We all farm, we all fish, we're mostly all family. And most of us here are lineal descendants to these lands.
Our lo'is have been in existence since the days of Kamehameha. I grew up, there was taro everywhere. Taro the lo'i, there was no weeds, no grass, I don't know how they did it. And it was my love for this area here that I wanted to see that again. I wanted my grandchildren to see that and to experience that.
We still follow that same technique or protocol from our ancestors. I got for pūtaro with the master farmers, you know what I mean? Like all my grandpa, my Bush's grandpa, you know what I mean? My tutu man, my dad.
For him, he was just one guy who gonna put money on the table. He just gonna work. The last of the Hawaiian supermans. The man could work taro patch. He was unbelievable.
They was all master farmers, you know, they did that their whole life. You know what I mean? Farming haloa, taking care of the kalo, and I one of the fortunate ones that got to learn from the best. For follow the stream so you know where your water comes from, you know what I mean? For grow the taro, for make poi.
The Hawaiians wouldn't take all of the water out of the stream, so they take no more than half of the water and let the water flow to the ocean. So it would flow in the taro patches and the water would be redirected back into the stream, and then the water would also maintain that continuous flow to the ocean.
All people had thrive with the amount of water that we had when our kupunas was around.
And I was young, but I was learning from the elders, you know, not knowing that someday this knowledge was going to come into play.
In 1996, East Maui community members began organizing themselves to address issues impacting their way of life.
Hold them accountable. 27 streams and rivers accountable.
That's what happened when no more water. You can walk in your patch with slippers.
No water, no poi.
In East Maui, from Nahiku to Maliko Gulch, a 75-mile-long system consisting of approximately 50 miles of tunnel and 25 miles of open ditches, collects and transports surface water from more than 100 streams heading to the sugar plantations of HCNS, wreaking havoc on the communities that depend on that water's natural flow.
So we've been in this fight for a long time. Even in my grandparents' days, they were opposed to having the ditches built and taking all the water away. So it's not just a recent thing, it's been going on for generations.
HoʻI's pride and profit is its sugar industry. American agriculture at its best.
I think in the old days was working because they wasn't planting as much sugar. So in the old days, they were still going, yeah. Then when they got more, they needed more. They, like I said, they built it damn bigger, so they could take more. But nobody went police them, eh?
After that, we realized that they're intensifying their diversions until they took it all, 100%. So the streams that we went to catch HoʻI or gather certain things were no longer there now. The stream was there, but it was a dead stream.
So when the water gets cut off, what happens is that the animals actually die over time. So all of the animals, so the HoʻI and the O'opu and the Hihivai.
Like Ed said, was with over 150 streams and rivers just in a Ko'olau. And whatever they was taking from Honopo, they made them dryland farmers instead of wetland farmers. We was almost there. We was almost dryland farmers. I lost everything. My neighbor lost everything. So right now we gotta start all over. And that's not easy. We lost thousands and thousands of HoʻI.
It deteriorates like everything else. The culture is being denied. You're losing the opportunity to pass it on to the next generation. The plant itself is gone. And it's going to take years to rebuild that.
You can see the difference. Only get a handful of ohana still in here. Only a handful of farmers still farming.
There is this unspoken loss that is also happening at the same time the water is going away. That felt impact was painful for them. And what for them, it was the exodus of families, of children, of grandchildren from these areas because subsistence lifestyles were no longer possible.
We're deeply rooted. You try to uproot us. So you think about that, how much pain that caused, and confusion, and fear because of the confusion. This is our backyard. This is our home. What do we do? Walk away and let them just take it? Or be courageous enough to stand up against them? Our community is courageous.
Ngā moku aupuni o Ko'olau HoʻI was born out of a need to address issues facing the communities of Ke'anai and Wailuanui, beginning with more than 500 members who proudly affixed their names and blood quantum on the membership documents. On May 24, 2001, the Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation, funded in part by the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, filed 27 petitions on behalf of the East Maui community to amend the interim in-stream flow standards of 27 of their streams. The standards they were filing to amend had been set in 1988 at status quo, which in essence continued the dewatering of their streams through the EMI diversions upstream. Thus began a legal battle that would challenge this community for decades.
All these years that we went to court just laid us back.
This case represents ancestral and future generational rights that were absolutely fought hard for and defended for a very long time by many different hands.
It's the biggest and the largest and the longest water contested case in the history of Hawaii.
Although a number of decisions through the decades had ruled in favor of this community, it seemed as though the return of the waters continued to be just out of reach. The laws that had securely protected their way of life and the life of their streams had not been realized since their battle began. However, the end of an era was on the horizon and a new day was coming.
After losing $40 million in the past 2 years, HC&S says it'll end its operation on Maui in the next year. 675 workers will be laid off starting in March.
When the sugar plantation closed, it feels like the sugar plantation was the real impetus for everything. And it helped that commissioners were starting to become much more schooled and informed about public trust principles.
Water is the most important resource we have here in Hawaii, and I thought if there was an opportunity for me to include some of my research and perspectives in HoʻI resource management of water and its connectivity with the Ahupua'a system, that could be something that could benefit Hawaii and our people.
Having people on CORM, because they're in charge of the water, new directors, and with a big vision. It's not just for one corporation, it's for public trust.
The Commission on Water Resource Management is responsible for ensuring that the waters of the state of Hawaii are protected for the benefit of its people. This is securely housed in the Public Trust Doctrine and the Water Code, which expressly addresses the protection of Native Hawaiian water rights. Education has empowered communities to bring their laws to life.
People feel that water should be left in the streams and that we need that for our environment, for fishing, for all things here in this side of East Maui.
And the argument being the need for off-stream uses of the former sugar company wasn't there anymore. The science, the law, the facts on the ground all weighed in our favor, and that was the argument that was pitched to the commission.
It doesn't shut out anybody else.
You know, this was one of the important issues that our commission had to adjudicate and address. We're mandated by the public trust, really to preserve water for future generations, and then to balance reasonable and beneficial uses for today.
On June 20th, 2018, the Commission on Water Resource Management released its decision and order thanking the stakeholders of East Maui streams and the communities served by them for their dedication and patience during this lengthy contested case process, calling their ruling the beginning of a new era of water allocation in East Maui and acknowledging their primary trust responsibilities, among them maintaining water in its natural state and Native Hawaiian traditional and cultural gathering. For many, this historic decision was difficult to believe.
And when we saw in the graph full restoration for 8 taro feeding streams, I think we were in disbelief. That was never really the ask at any point. I mean, the reality is that the community just wanted enough water to irrigate their taro lo'i, to feed their families, and then to have sufficient water to go back into the streams and sustain the habitat.
In general, the decision looked at all of the public trust principles that we need to affirm as a commission. So we allowed for the total flow of water to kalo streams, and we identified them for their traditional customary usages. We recognized that we needed to make a decision that better allocated water into those sets of streams.
The idea that the minimum flow value that needs to be in the water at any point in time is full, undiverted flows is mind-blowing. And the fact that those streams that are fully and permanently restored are the taro feeding streams that are the lifeblood of Kenai, Wailuanui, and Honopo, and even in Hanehoi and Huelo are huge accomplishments.
It felt really good to know that they were going to release water after decades of fighting. My great-grandparents had to fight, we fighting, and our kids, you know, it's nice.
We were very happy to see the final conclusion.
It's a win for us. We didn't appeal the decision, and if they want, we need to work together. That's what we gotta do, work together. We know everybody need water, but we need to work together with them so everything is fair.
Throughout this litigation process, at no time did our East Maui clients ever conceive of a result that didn't end up in the sharing of this resource. And I think that was because they were on the receiving end of an entity that refused to share the resource with their community for over a century.
Inside I was happy, honored. I could feel how Kūponos, my dad, my tutu, my grandma, grandpa, everybody that was part of Kana and Wailua Nui community, I could feel all of them just saying like, good job, you guys, you know, like, thank you for keep on the fight, you know what I mean? Keep the fight going. You know?
Kūpono, even though they're not alive, that doesn't mean they do not exist. Their words exist. So for that part, yes, I'm happy. You know, that we fulfilled the mission, but they started. You know, we're proud of our taro farmers. Without the taro farmers, we would have nothing. Without Namoku stepping into the arena and organizing ourselves to go to court on this magnitude, we would have nothing.
The idea that people working together can overturn an injustice that was carried out for over a century is, I think, an inspiring, call to action to other communities confronted with similar injustices. And the idea that our state is now taking affirmative steps to ensure and safeguard that these public trust resources are afforded the kinds of protections that the law is intended to provide them is a benefit for everyone.
I think when our commission fulfills its obligations to uphold the public trust in Hawaii, it not only benefits particular sets of streams, but it benefits all of Hawaii. There's really profound impacts that the commission can have on Hawaii and our society. I think in this particular decision, we recognize that there's the opportunity to really learn from, the mahi'ai out there on East Maui in terms of community management of these streams and what the effects will be on the native species and taro cultivation in the future. So that was a real big part of the decision. And it really was possible because of the advocacy and commitment of the communities really for generations to their water resources. And because Commission's mandate of the public trust.
After a century of these dewatered conditions, the community was now going to be enjoying a restoration that nobody in this lifetime had ever witnessed before, and probably nobody in the generations before them. And that every generation hereafter, it would be their normal, was the most moving and impactful part of the decision.
Connecting Mauka to Makai flow of a stream that has been cut off for more than a century from its natural state breathes life into a community that has dedicated themselves to this restoration for generations. Waterfalls cascading into streams through taro patches then making its way to the ocean restores a sacred pathway.
When we first actually seen the water started to come down, I mean, it took a while, but when we first seen it come down, man, it was a beautiful sight.
And then at the Mulivai, I started to notice limo. Then the fish was starting to come in, start eat the haitai, they eat the limo.
I think with the continuous flow to the ocean, now we have a healthier system. Estuaries are much healthier. So we have I think we'll see diversity in terms of fishes, both marine as well as stream animals.
Opu, Hihivai, Opai, they're starting to repopulate slowly, but we can notice that it's coming back.
The ecosystem should be improved.
You see schools, big schools. And then when you look in the Mulivai, I seen them going out already, the fish. Then I look in the ocean, I can see big fish jumping.
This
It's pala, they call this. How you get this, one of the main reasons is from the water, you know. If we no more a good water flow, consistent flow.
With the release of the water, I harvested the same patch around the same time, and you could really see the difference in the harvest. Instead of harvesting taro like this, now we're harvesting taro like this, you know.
Hopefully the rest of the families who own land out here come and open them. We get the water, you know. Now we get the water. Now come back home, open up you guys' land.
Hopefully we can continue the traditions from our kupunas, because we lost a few generations of kalo farmers due to not enough water.
You need the huli for start all over again. All our hulis gone. Right now I'm starting to just plant in the pots what I can just to bring them back. Right now I get one of the rarest strains you can find. And I'm pretty sure I the only one get this one strain. It was created on the east end of Maui long time ago. So when I went pull my last patch, I found one. Then now I get them home here. I brought them home. I'm gonna grow them home till I ready. Then I can start that one huli again.
I see children of friends and family that live upstream, and I harp on them, please come in, grow some taro, do something, grow some food for your family.
I personally and a lot of my cousins, uncles have opened over 20 patches.
Cannot wait. That's why if I can go help somebody, I go help somebody. Just forget your feet in the mud. As like I told you, taro is our first love. Even for my grandpa, that was first love.
The return of the waters not only revitalized the people, their beloved haloa, the native species population, and the entire ecosystem, but it was also seen as a catalyst to the revitalization of ancestral knowledge that could once again be shared with the next generation.
When the waters were restored, the partnerships that were possible and the opportunities for kupuna to now teach Hana school children the ways in which to cultivate taro and the ways in which to gather, all provided for this restoration of traditional ways of life, traditional ways of passing on knowledge.
Our Malamahaloa program began in response to the need to restore lo'i in Wailua Nui. And Uncle Ed says it beautifully in that they won the fight, there was huge success, and they looked around, but where were the kalo farmers? That's when our program was just kind of blooming, and it rolled from there. And to establish a crew that goes out there and helps the family to maintain the lo'i.
O Waihui Park ko inoa no Hana Maui mai au. Aloha, my name is Waihui Park and I'm from Hana Maui, and I've been in this program ever since my 8th grade year. When we get into class, we just work hard, taking out all those weeds, getting down in the mud, and when you go in there with a purpose. You don't just work just to work. You have a reasoning behind your mind of why are you doing this? What's this for?
They were blessed to open lo'i here in Keanai, and with that kalo, they take it back and give back to the communities. So it's amazing because our kids get to do that in school, where we never got the opportunities to do that.
Thursdays is our Ku'i day. So on campus here at Hana High School, we set up a tent. We put out all of our boards and our pohaku, and we invite classes to come during the school day.
Kanuya haloa. Kanuya haloa. Ulu haloa. Ulu haloa. Okalau haloa.
In doing the chant, they're letting go of anything that happened throughout their day, change their line of focus into the line of spirituality, because this is a spiritual, cultural tradition that we carry on here.
And seeing the kids engage with that cultural practice again, I think it skipped a few generations. And so to see the keiki being able to bring that back into their ohana is truly meaningful. To reconnect with haloa, to reconnect with our aina, with our food in that way is especially important.
My son gets to participate in and bring home his kalo that he pounded.
When the kids are pounding, we like to make sure that they feel good. More people are starting to eat poi, and I feel like there is a greater demand now for kalo. So yeah, everybody get back in your taro patches and let's go.
It's a beautiful relationship that we're very thankful for.
You know, water is life, and to see that come back is awesome.
The return of the waters in East Maui have not come without challenge. Although they remain maka'ala to what may be on the horizon, for now they get back to work clearing streams, planting kalo, and helping to facilitate a healthy native species habitat. A movement is happening across the Pai'aina centered on Aloha Aina o Ia'i'o, a concept alive and well in East Maui.
You're gonna see water in the river now because from 2015 prior to the 1900s, you drive to Hana, you never see water passing the bridge. Now you drive, you see water going down to Makai. So yeah, just respect the amount of work that our kupunas and ourselves did for get that water back into that river.
What will it mean when, someone's grandchild gets a chance to swim in a stream that their parent never did because it's dry? What will it mean when, a family restores lo'i that has been uncultivated because never have water, and people again are feeding themselves from those places?
It's super important to me for my kids understand the importance of planting kuleana for accept that hey, we gotta go clean river. You know what I mean? We gotta make sure that our water is flowing from Mauka to Makai so we can plant haloa because haloa take care of us.
We gotta really rethink the ways that we manage water for the future of Hawaii so that there will always be life and aloha in these islands.
It feels good. Even when I pass the rivers, I always look. It's running. So this is for Kupuna. This is for the future generation. And never allow no one to take it away again.
You can trace our lineage back to the first people, the first Kanakas that had stepped foot on this aina. We can trace our lineage back to them. Kind of honored for the kind for keep this going, Yeah. 2018, but they thought that we was gonna be history. Crazy.